Okay, so it is 2:45 in the morning. Um, I've had some time to think about some of the rest of the stuff that I'd like to talk about regarding the subject matter that I'm speaking about. Um, Cognitive emotional violence as an issue that I've been dealing with for some time now. Basically, an exchange of emotional violence from a distance between myself and somebody that I never invited into my life, particularly in the way that he has insisted upon being in my life. So, at this point, if you watched all the videos in order, you'd know a fair bit about the history there as to my perspective on the information that I gathered, the things the things that I observed from Dave Withers, his actions and inactions and their effects on people historically, and myself. This is more rhetoric. We're getting towards the end of the rhetoric regarding why I just cannot stand him, and why I can't stand him in addition to the context of what he said to me and actively tried to do to my life, and other things. So, yeah, I'm going to keep talking about that. The rhetoric is important to complete in detail, so that then I can kind of go through the process of unwrapping all of that and the effects that all of that has had on me in a long-term sense, so that I can move on with my life and not be, you know, stuck in the same cyclical pattern that just doesn't serve me or anybody else. Not healthily, at least. So, the rest of the rhetoric. During the time frame after my divorce and leading up to the time where I was living independently in a small cabin that I was renting, I spoke to Dave Withers on the phone about multiple subjects, ranging from my life a little bit, his life a little bit, his relationship with his daughter that he denied having, which I knew was a lie, his contact with his daughter that he denied having, which I knew was a lie. We're talking about a man who abandoned his daughter and her mother for 30 years, who suddenly appeared in her life in a way that just was never communicated to me. And when I spoke to him on the phone initially, he was out to make an enemy of me, because he was actively taunting me about things that I care about, things that I'm interested in, things that mean a lot to me. So I had several conversations with him on the phone. Before my divorce, after my divorce. After my divorce, I spoke to him about, he called me, actually. Spoke to me about, in a roundabout way, while taunting me about the stuff that was in my phone, that I was writing, that I was creating, about green language in my phone, about other things in my phone that were related to green language, but not specifically only green language, by way of the study of Monoceros, the constellation Monoceros, the green language around the word cone, C1, and its relation to Monoceros, the constellation of Monoceros, its relation to the pyramids in Egypt, its relation to the dog star Sirius, constellation Sirius, its relation to. Wow, why did that happen? Why did that happen? I don't know why that happened. Wow, that's really annoying. Was it still recording? My computer just shut off entirely. It may have just been idling. I don't know. I don't know if it was still recording through that. My display just turned off, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. But when I was doing all of that, he was speaking to me, and I had reported Xena Shrek, the daughter of Anton LaVey, the dude what founded the Church of Satan. I had reported Xena Shrek for being a pedophile on my phone. And Dave called me and talked to me about the process of effectively going and confronting her and capturing her, and in a roundabout way spoke about some of the things that they had discovered when they confronted her and put her in prison. And during that time he was taunting me and effectively calling me a dog while using my own green language against me in an abusive way to serve that function. Use your nose is what he said. And I had written green language in that phone about the two words nose, N-O-S-E, and K-N-O-W-S, and their relationship in the English language. And those things were written in my phone that he was actively observing, as well as a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of other green language and research and things like that. But one of the conversations that I had with him when after my divorce was actually one of the first conversations I had with him after my divorce, and that was one where he was also taunting me about being a dog. Matter of fact, he effectively said to me, like, he was telling me a little bit about his life, and he was saying, that he fostered rescue dogs with his wife. And this was just unprovoked. He just told me a little bit about himself. Or rather reminded me, because this was something that he spoke about before, when I had met him years prior and spoke at dinner with him. That was actually something that he mentioned, that he and his wife had rescue dogs and everything. But when he spoke to me on the phone about it, the most recent time, he effectively invited one of his rescue dogs into the room that he was in when he was speaking to me on the phone, and he said he effectively told this rescue dog to not growl, and said, "Don't worry, he's friendly. Don't worry, he's friendly. Don't growl, just lay down." And what he was doing was he was basically saying that he was basically calling me one of his rescue dogs, one of his pets, without actually saying it. Just talking around it the same way that still happens to me, which is abusive and demeaning and dehumanizing. And was then, still is. And basically he's shown me little to no respect, both behind my back and on the phone with me. He thinks that I'm his son, which is hilarious to me because he has no ethical or moral fiber, no ethical or moral integrity to speak of. He has He called me trash to my ex-wife, and he called me trash to my ex-wife behind my back. Never thought that I would find out about it. And when he did that, he effectively insulted me, and he insulted my entire family. Not just my mother, my father, my brother, but my distant relatives as well, my extended family. He effectively called me trash, and insulted my entire. He insulted everybody who I could be related to by doing that. And so I live in a circumstance where everything I do, I mean, he's stolen pretty much everything from me. The literary plot device that I spoke of in one of my previous videos that he stole from me and effectively makes me live around every day is, I told my ex-wife about a plot device that I thought of when I was, many years ago, when I was thinking about writing a book. And that plot device was the idea of people communicating with each other in an unseen or unexpected or a covert way, by way of deliberately placing trash around locations to message different things to each other covertly without anybody suspecting a thing. Just trash on the ground. Be it brands, be it slogans, be it logos, be it, a collection of trash to symbolize different things, to communicate different things that only somebody who was looking for those types of messages would actually recognize and would actually be able to do anything with that information. That's something that I live around every day. And I know that it's him who does that stuff effectively. So not only did he steal that from me, as well as anything in the phone that I had left in the car that I crashed in San Diego, that I know he recovered, and I know he has, and I know he sits on, and I know he does anything he wants with the notes that I have in that phone containing green language and everything else. But in addition to that, he also has effectively stolen everything that I said to my phone screen, the old iPhone that I had that was left in that car that I crashed. I used to speak to that iPhone by way of having the camera open and just kind of conferencing with it, because I knew that other people didn't know who exactly, but I knew that other people could see it at that point. And some of the things that I spoke about then, just speaking to the phone, have appeared in my life in a way that indicates theft, idea theft, intellectual property theft, even though I haven't, I never filed the IP claim for any of this stuff. It is intellectual theft that I've been living with. In addition to the things that I had written on the laptop when I was living in my cabin, about music, or about symbolism, or about green language, or about, etymological origins of words that are symbolic in different ways, both in the English language and Yiddish and other things like that. As well as, I'm about to run out of time, so I'm going to cut this off, and I'll continue in the next video here.